How you going, people? Wanted to clear up a couple things on this video I just did on the guy hitting his girl. Look, if you want to make a comment about what you think or ask my opinion, that's one thing. But when you come to make an opinion, don't be telling me, I know you think this, and this is why I disagree with you. Because you don't even know what you're talking about. Most of the time, if you have to tell me what I'm thinking, you don't know what I'm thinking. State your point and make your case, and don't try to tell me what I'm thinking. I know you hate blacks. I know you hate illegals. I know that you are a racist. I know that you hate cops or you love cops, or you don't know shit. State your thing in the comment, and don't tell me what you know I know, because all I'm going to do is end up delete your comment once. If you do it more than twice, I'll ban you, because I'm not here for that. This is an educational channel. I've got good viewers. I got smart viewers. I don't mind. I don't think people, I know this is going to piss you off. I don't give a shit what you people think. I mean, if I cared, I wouldn't make videos. I got people coming on here hating me and threatening me and doing. If I cared what you think, I wouldn't make videos. So don't come here, I know I want to piss you off. You ain't gonna piss me off. Make your point. If I don't like what you say or I don't like it, then I'll boot you. I don't care. Well, that's censorship, Rick, and you're no, that ain't censorship. Censorship is knocking out an alternative viewpoint that makes sense or that's relevant. Censorship is not kicking off jerks and loudmouths that just want to be obstructionists. That's not censorship. So, you don't like it? Don't watch. All right? I'll share these couple of coins I got. I found these at the silver at one of the little pawn shops. It's pretty cool. Little I don't know if it's going to focus in. Little Don't Tread on Me coin. On one side it has a snake. On the other side, Boston Tea Party. Pretty cool little coin. He only had 4 of them, so I picked up all 4. 18 bucks a piece, because silver was down to $16.50. He wanted 19. I told him if I bought like 20 coins, he'd give me a discount. So I paid 18 bucks for those. And then this one is kind of cool. I didn't even know Congo made a little silver coin. So this is a 1 ounce silver of a line out of Congo. And I asked him if he had any more. He goes, no, I don't see these very much. So I had to pay 20 bucks for this, because he tacked on a $2 premium, because you don't see many and they're kind of rare. So this is the only Congo silver coin I have. And again, when they test these silver coins now, they have an X-ray machine where they X-ray it. I know in one of my videos I said they drill it. Well, they have an X-ray machine now that they can just run a coin through and X-ray it to make sure it's the same. And they have little testers that they can touch it, and it'll tell you whether it's silver, gold, or whatever. You touch it, it's some electronic thing. So, you know, it's a little bit better to tell, make sure you're not getting fake stuff. So, now that we got past those 2 things, let me get to the real 2 issues that I want to cover here, because there's some confusion on it, and I'm going to try to clear it up. Some for the cops, some for cops that think they're right and they're wrong, some for cops that may not know, and some for the people that I think knowledge is power, and if you're going to play the game against government, the more you know the laws and the rules, the better off you're going to be. So, plain sight and exigency. I've talked about these 2 before. Exigent circumstances is, look, I'm not saying I agree with it, because the problem with it is it's very easy to abuse. And when cops in this day and age aren't held accountable and abuse is rampant, then people lose faith in it. The concept and belief behind exigency is good. I shouldn't have to leave a burning house when somebody's yelling help to say, sorry, unless you can tell me, you give me consent to come in, because you're screaming on fire and you passed out, you can't. I can't go in unless I go get a warrant. By the time I get a warrant, you're going to burn up anyway, so why should I go try and get a warrant? So, and again, that's the spirit and intent of exigency. The other thing is, you knock on the door, you hear people, holy shit, it's the cops, flush the dope. You know, most reasonable people are going to know they're about to destroy evidence. If we don't get in there, we're going to lose evidence. So you kick the door and you go in with exigency. So exigency is not like a lot of people want to tell you, oh, it's tearing the Constitution. Well, it has the ability to do that. If it's not checked, if the courts aren't held in check, if police departments don't police themselves, if the FBI is still trying trying to get Trump, instead of enforcing law enforcement and really investigating law enforcement, if all those systems break down, then yeah, it's tyranny. Because exigency is a cop can pretty much lie. Now, everybody says that like it's nothing, but most cops don't want to lose their job or their retirement. So although people think they're out there lying left and right, they're not. I mean, I don't know any cops that lie. If I do, I call them out on it, or they don't do it around me. The only one that I see lying a lot is DAs and district attorneys. So they lie a lot, but they're not cops. They're not out there and doing it. They're in the courts putting people in prison. Not that it's any less, but a lot of cops get blamed for that. So cops aren't out there just lying. I don't just walk up to a house and go, well, shit, I'm bored. I kind of want to search this house. Let me just go, what's that? Hey, I heard some lady yell help. Kick the door, we're going to search a house and think we're going to somehow find a drug and save the country. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Can that happen? Yeah. Is it likely or reasonable? No. First of all, cop's not going to want to do it by himself because he knows he's going to either be on camera, recorded. If there's video camera, he's not going to want to. If he's got a partner or somebody there with him, he's got to make damn sure that guy ain't going to turn him in and is willing to risk his career. And I used to tell cops, yo man, you want to risk your career, you do it. But if I'm a witness, you ain't risking my career, so I don't want to see this illegal BS bullshit. Don't do that shit, don't be hitting, don't be taking cheap shots, don't do that shit around me, because I ain't giving up my retirement for your dumb move. So, and most cops were like me, they're not gonna cover somebody. Now, is there incidences where cops kind of look the other way on minor or lower things? Sure, it happens. I mean, they're going to be cops. No, they don't. Cops are above board and there's only a small percent. That's BS. There's a blue line. If it's between a cop and a bad guy and it's a minor thing, I'm not ruining a cop's life who's out there doing good because he made a mistake over a bad guy. Sorry, you may not like it. You may think I'm a crooked, unethical guy, but I'm just telling you reality. Most cops believe that. Most cops and most DA's office think that. Is that government protecting government? Maybe. If I'm busting coconuts, I don't know. But I'm telling you reality. And a lot of people confuse when I'm given reality that they think, I believe it, I endorse it, I think it's 100% right, and I'm saying government should be able to do everything that I say government can do. There's a difference on what I think government should be able to do and what I know legally government can do. So, the educated mind, the people out there with big more than 2 brain cells can figure that out. But the idiots that just want to come here and go, you love cops and you hate cops and you the... I mean, I don't even try to get them. I'm not really trying to get to anybody. I'm putting out information that I think is good, that people ought to be able to know and understand, that no other cop working can put out. Most cops cannot tell you what I tell you because they will be called on the department. You're making cops look bad. Because there's actually orders and SOPs and general orders that say you will not say anything that makes the department look bad. You will not say anything against another officer. You will not do... So there's actual orders that you can be held insubordinate if you turn in another cop or if you speak out against another cop. Now what the agencies will tell you, well, that's only to the public. If you turn them in internally, then we don't care. Well, that's kind of BS too. Because if you turn in the chief's buddy for being dirty, the chief's going to come down on you and try to make you look dirty to protect his buddy. And that's just the way it is. And it's not just cop work. It's nurses, it's doctors, it's government employees up and down the line. It's just the way it is. So, exigency and plain sight. Now somebody said when they went into Chelsea, Clayton, whatever, Daniel, whatever Manning's name was, is gonna be, when they went into his house to do a welfare check, if they found a bag of dope, could they use it? The answer is yes. And everybody goes, hey, you getting that? The war is against the 4th Amendment of the Constitution. Look, I'm telling you the way it is. The prong test on whether or not you can seize in plain sight, the #1 prong test of that is, were you where you were authorized to be? If I have to climb a fence and kick a door to go see they're growing pot, without a warrant, I cannot claim anything and I will not be able to use that evidence. It will be suppressed. It will be called the exclusionary rule. It will be excluded because I seized it. under false pretense or under not legitimate ways or reasons. Now, if I'm walking by a fence and the fence is a little cracked, and as I'm walking by where I'm authorized to be, and I look through that crack and see marijuana through a window in a back door garage, yes, I can seize that. Now, most cops wouldn't unless they thought they were going to be destroyed, but I could secure the house and go get a warrant. I would have to show an exigency to kick the door, go in and get those plants without a warrant. And there really isn't no exigency unless I say, when I saw that, a guy looked out the window and I heard him yell to his friends, "Hey, the cops just saw our dope, go get rid of it." Now I have exigency to say, because I have to justify in my exigency, what was the emergency? What was it reasonable that me or another cop with my training experience would have done the same thing in the same situation? And that's the reasonable test. And was it reasonable? And most courts are going to rule, if you hear somebody say, "Cops are here, flush the dope, burn the dope, get rid of it," that's reasonable that most people think evidence is going to be destroyed or lost. Now, exigent circumstances usually fell into one category, exigency. There's been a few court rulings, and if somebody wants me to go over this in documents and I can show you some case law, and if you want to read it yourself, go to that point of view. I did that thing on point of view in the Alameda website. They have on, if you go to their website page, point of view, and you search exigent circumstances, probable cause, plain sight rule. If you search any term, it's going to give you pages and PDFs of information with court sightings and court rulings and actual cases on why the court ruled the way it did. There was one case that kind of sticks in my mind, that the cops went to a loud music complaint in the middle of the night. And the music was so loud, the cops said when they pulled up 2 blocks away, they could hear the music before they got to the house. That's pretty loud. When the cops pulled up, there was 8 neighbors that came out in their pajamas saying, "What the hell, can you shut those people up?" So there was an immediate outrage in the community that this house was obviously playing loud music. Well, when the cops showed up, the music went down. And they knocked on the door and nobody answered. Now, is it reasonable that the cops should have just left? Said, "Well, he won't answer the door. Sorry people, hang out in your pajamas, call us back when he turns up the music." That would have pissed people off. And people have, the court ruled, hey, people have a right to live in a civilized community and not be disrupted in the middle of the night from somebody being rude. So the cops were legitimately there. Here's where it got iffy. The cops, because nobody answered, shook a couple doors and found an open door. The door was not locked. Uh-oh. They went in to find whoever was playing the music, tell them not to do it, etc. To identify them, to do their investigation, to help the community who was living with this jerk with his music loud. When they went in, they saw plants of marijuana and they seized it. Now, is that reasonable? And I want all you people to kind of answer this right now. Do you think the courts ruled with the cops, or do you think he ruled with the criminal? They ruled with the criminal. They said it was not reasonable because there was no emergency to save life or property. There was a mere inconvenience of loud noise to the community, and that is not enough to override the search and seizure and the warrant requirement to get into that house. So therefore, they suppressed the dope and said, "Nope, you lose it." Now, did the cops get in trouble for that? No. Do I think the cops were out there being boot, jackhammer, leg, boot, bait, boot, whatever, cops? No. The cops were being, to me, pretty reasonable. Was the court being reasonable when they went, "You know what? We're not going to let you use that because there was nobody in threat of seriously bodily injury, and there was nobody being in danger of being killed. Therefore, we do not think that was enough to override, so we're not going to let you use that." I think the court was reasonable in that ruling. But there's a lot of people, there were cops that were pissed, the DA was pissed, everybody was pissed. Cops were like, "What do you want us to do? Just freaking leave? Fine, we won't do anything. We just won't try anything, we won't do anything." Well, there's some people that might agree with that, and in this police state that we're in, that might be a good thing. And the courts maybe ought to start ruling. But they didn't. So what the courts did is, there used to be exigency circumstances. What the courts did is they came up with a new term, and it's called community caretaking. Why do they do that, Rick? Well, because emergency implies there's an emergency. An emergency exigency implies somebody's in danger or evidence is going to be destroyed. Well, what happens if we just want to caretake on the community? If we're just being the government, we're here to help. We'll call it caretaking, community caretaking exigency, and that means they can go into an elderly person isn't answering phones. Somebody calls and says, I think they've fallen. I'd like to go check on her. She's not answering the door. So they put that into community caretaking category. There was another one that they came up with. Community caretaking exigency, and there's a third term that they're using now. That, again, the government always grows, and they always expand their power, and they're always adding terms and definitions and rewriting things. So the Fourth Amendment protection, hey, without probable cause, without a warrant, you can't get in unless I invite you in, period. It started off very small, black and white, and now it's grown into a monster, and it's still evolving and changing. Is that right or wrong? Well, look, government power, everybody knows, I'm kind of anti that. I think the more it grows, the worse it gets for the people, the less freedoms. Every time government comes up with a new great plan to protect you, there is a freedom that is lost or infringed upon. And this happens 50, 100 times a year. There's new court rulings and new rules that are just little things that give government a little bit more power and freedom a little less goes down the pole. So the scales for government power and freedom, freedom's losing every day, every week, every month, and every year. Thousands of freedoms are impeded upon and lost, especially with guns. Started out, anybody could buy a gun, you could buy it through the mail. Now you can only do it in person, then you need paperwork. Now it's not only paperwork, you need a background. Now it's not a background, you need to do it in person. You need fingerprints. You can't do it if you're convicted of this crime and that crime and this crime. You can't do it if you've been to prison, if you've ever had domestic violence. Every year, two or more, three things come on to restrict gun ownership. And in 10 or 20 years, it's going to be so damn difficult that most people won't do it, and then they can just say, you know what, we've only got a small percentage of people that own guns, we'll just take them. Because even the people, I know people who are dying and passing down their guns, and their kids are like, I don't want all these guns, my dad had them, I don't like them. And they sell them and get rid of them. That's one less gun owner, one less freedom, one less person that's going to vote for gun rights because they have no vested interest. Remember, especially in liberalism, they want people that have a vested interest in giving government power. We want illegals so they can get free money, free education, etc. We want immigrants so they can get free money, free education, special voting rights, special hiring privileges, special loan privileges, special college privileges. Everything government wants, they want to make it so. They don't want gun owners, they make it harder. They tax, they outlaw lead, they tax brass at a higher rate, they tax rounds, they tax cleaning equipment, they stick on environmental. So, look, I'm not a fan of government growth. I kind of went on guns because this is about guns and gun freedom. But when we get back to exigency and plain sight, I'm going to switch over to plain sight rule. Plain sight's pretty simple. If I'm where I can be lawfully and I see it, I can seize it. Now, in order to seize it, I have to articulate, and a lot of people get this reasonable suspicion and probable cause kind of mixed up. It's a lower standard. Yeah, you know, if you had a scale, it would be like, I got a hunch or I'm suspicious, then I go up to reasonable suspicion, then I go up to probable cause, and those are kind of like the three levels you go to. But they're all different levels of suspicion. It's just reasonable suspicion. I can articulate facts that would justify my suspicion. Probable cause is higher than reasonable suspicion because I have more facts to articulate why I've reached that conclusion that I have. Okay? So, and again, reasonable suspicion, probable cause, are they a big difference? Everybody's going to say, oh, they're huge. Nah, they're not that different. It's just a lower level. If I can get to reasonable suspicion, I can usually get to probable cause, if there's something there. If my reasonable suspicion is weak, and I'm reaching and I'm getting there because I'm cheating, then I probably can't get to probable cause. Because I need more articulable facts to justify probable cause than I need to articulate reasonable suspicion. So, reasonable suspicion. I mean, there's so many things that I could go through on this. I mean, I'm not going to go through it. Like I said, if somebody really wants me to do a video just on probable cause, or just on reasonable suspicion, or just on plain sight, I can do that, and I'll do it on the computer screen with, case law and cases, and it's kind of boring and tasking. But if there's enough people that want it, I don't mind doing it. Those videos tend to get pretty low views. Nobody kind of watch them. And it takes me a long time to do them, so it's kind of like cost and reward for me. Why do I want to spend I spend 4 or 5 hours on a 30-minute news video from finding them and doing all that, and I mean, they seem to get pretty good views, but YouTube blocks every damn one of them. And it's just a pain in the butt. And I mean, even when I load it up, it blocks it, and it makes me wait 3 days before it says, okay, we're going to allow this one, or we're not going to block it and say it's against community standards. So it's just a pain, and almost all, if not 75% of my vehicles fall in that category. Every time I do a video where a black man commits a crime, or I say something about gay, or I say something about quota hire, or I say anything against the liberal left agenda, YouTube blocks it. So this is the same format that government uses. We'll make it so hard for the other side to get their message out that they'll just give up. Government does the same thing. We'll say we offer this as a benefit and we'll do this to help you because we're here to help and we're the government, but we're going to make it so tasking in so many forms and so confusing, and you have to wait on hold for 14 people, 30 minutes each person, and we're going to make it so damn difficult, and most people just won't do it. That's how government just, stops people from complaining or growing. So anyway, I went through a lot of things here, but yes, a short answer to that: if I go in on a welfare check and I see dope, I can do it. Now, one caveat to that is I cannot see something in plain sight if I couldn't do the job I was doing. So when they went into Manning's house to look for he, she, her, or whatever he, when they went in to look for it, they cannot look in places that a body could not be. If I go into this house and clear it for officer safety and do a protective sweep, I can only look for places a person could be. In a closet, under a bed, maybe a large cabinet where someone could climb in, maybe under a couch. I have to be able to articulate, when I found this dope, I was looking where I was authorized to look. I cannot go into a house looking for a person and start opening dresser drawers and find a pound of crank or a pound of coke. I would not be able to use that. Because of course rule, you went in there under the premise that you were looking for a person who was in danger, and then you opened a dresser drawer which you know a person could not be in, therefore that search was illegal, and anything that made you find is gone, and anything you found after you found what was in there is gone. So a lot of times they'll just squash the whole thing, you lose everything. But again, in plain sight, I'm looking for a person, I open a closet to see if somebody's hiding in there, and hanging on a rack is marijuana plants upside down drying. I'm good. I can seize that because a person could have been in there. If I look in a small medicine cabinet and I find cocaine, I'm not going to be able to use that. I had no business in that medicine cabinet saying I was clearing a house for a protective suite looking for a person. So a lot of people think it's just cut and dry and it's easy, and being a cop is much brainy, you don't really have to know much. I mean, I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist, but you have to have common sense. You have to be able to articulate a lot of facts, a lot of case law, a lot of rulings, your departmental policy, your state rulings, federal rulings, and you learn those over time when you get called out, or when you lose, or you make a mistake, or you didn't know this, or nobody told you, or you try to charge a case and you go in with the DA and the DA goes, man, I can't charge this. Why not? Well, you violated this, you violated that, you violated that. You shouldn't have done that, you should have done that. Now, a lot of times DAs, if they really want the case, if it's PC popular to go and prosecute it, then they'll say, you know what, you violated this, but I think we can get around this if you say the reason you did this is this. Is that why you did it? Yeah, that's why I did it. I wouldn't do that. But I know cops that would do that. And they'll go, you know what, you violated this and we might lose this unless you did it under this. And there was a situation where I told you I tricked a guy to tell me where he hid his dope, and he threw it, and I said, you know what, public safety. I didn't want the dope laying out there for some kid to find. That was absolutely true. The DA wasn't even aware of it, and when I told him that's why I did it, he looked it up and he goes, oh shit, I think I'm going to get this in. Because when I first went saw him, he goes, man, that was a good job, trick him to tell you where he showed it, but he asked for an attorney and you can't ask him questions. I go, yeah, I can. Public safety. He goes, what? I go, public safety. If I think it endangers the public and I don't want someone to get hurt, I can ask him questions to prevent that safety. If a child found that dope, he could have taken it and killed it, or he could have gave it to another child. Public safety was at risk. I needed to find that dope, even though it violated his rights to remain silent. And he looked it up and went, oh shit, you're right. I'm going to be able to charge this. Good job. So he charged it. We got a conviction. And his defense attorney was like, he can't do that. My client asked for an attorney. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't give a shit. He got convicted. He pled to something. But he was going to get convicted if we went to court. So there's a lot of things, if and buts and coconuts out there. When you get in the comments, a lot of people will come here and sound like they know what they're talking about. Well, I've been a cop for 14 years and they had no right to go in that house. Well, maybe in his 14 years, the biggest case he's ever worked is a bicycle theft. And that's why he's never done that. Cops who have been around, and me especially, I hated doing less than felony. If it wasn't a felony, I didn't want to mess with it. I just thought it was poo-butt. Now, there was people that just lived and died on their misdemeanor and their traffic tickets. And I was just like, I don't have time for that shit. I don't care about that. I want good crime. Not only did I want to get the real bad guy for the felony crimes, when you get into felony crimes, you get a much larger umbrella of protection. When I worked child abduction, it was great. Because when I'm going after a child in danger and some child is being abducted and taken away from a parent or from their parents, I have a huge umbrella. I can pretty much do anything. To be honest, I did do pretty much anything. But I was always covered because I had good, articulable reasons on why I did it, and it was reasonable. And the courts would have always ruled in my favor if it got challenged. And I never lost anything when I was working child abduction. Because nobody wants to rule against some cop out there trying to get a child back. And I like child abduction because of that. Not because it gave me the power and I could go out there and stomp on people, because I wasn't questioned when I was out there doing a job and getting a child back. And when I got him back, I wasn't worried about some nitpicky, well, technically, according to the letter of the law, you shouldn't have, coulda, woulda, did this, and you didn't, so we're throwing it out. You know what? Be honest, I didn't really care. Because I'm not looking for evidence to charge somebody. I'm looking to get the child back and out of its dangerous situation. So I didn't really care if I lost. Now, guys who are going after a dope bust and asset seizure and, big seizures and money, they care because they don't want to lose that. So they have a personal interest in that. Me, I just want to get the kid back. So I don't really give a shit about the other shit. You guys can play your courtroom antics and your courtroom BS on who's right and who's going to get off and who you're going to charge, who's not going to jail, and who. I don't care. My job is to get this kid back and out of a dangerous situation, and when I did that,